We haven't seen Seth Rollins on WWE television since November at the Survivor Series pay-per-view, when he turned his back on Team Smackdown, knelt down in front of Team Raw's Sheamus. He took a bro kick and sacrificed himself. That's how WWE built it at the time. But WWE have announced as of last Friday that this Friday, the very first WWE show of 2021 on SmackDown, Seth Rollins will return. Now, we don't know what incarnation of Seth Rollins we're going to get, but whatever happens, hopefully, we're maybe going to get a few answers. We know Seth Rollins has been portraying the Messiah. First of all, the Monday Night Messiah, now the SmackDown Savior, the Messiah to the WWE, Seth Rollins. And it's been a great heel run, I think, for Seth. Some people don't understand or like the character, completely understandable. He's a heel, you're not exactly meant to. But there are some things that we haven't ever worked out. Main question being, why? The biggest theory out there, one I like to agree with, is that the Fiend changed Seth Rollins. The Fiend made Seth Rollins the Messiah. It fits in with Bray Wyatt being a cult leader. You could argue that Seth was just brainwashed, or you could say there's supernatural voices in Seth Rollins' head. There's multiple explanations. However, lately we've been theorizing about the Fiend, about Bray Wyatt changing and what he could be changing into. Now, the definition of the fire and what fire represents in biblical terms is that fire purifies, and the Fiend being set on fire to write him off of TV could be leading to a pure Bray Wyatt, a pure Fiend. Like, this could be the devil Fiend, and then you have like an angelic Fiend. If that's the case, if we're going to get a pure Fiend character, well, that kind of fits in perfectly with the Messiah gimmick itself. The Messiah doesn't claim to be God. He doesn't claim to be the most powerful entity, but he's the one step below it, who's leading the charge, who's lighting the path, and trying to do what he could for what Seth Rollins called
the greater good.
Now, that's indeed something we've seen Seth Rollins as the Messiah do. He went as far to actually remove people's eyeballs. Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black. It was a target of his because he had to remove people from the equation. It's not something Seth Rollins himself wanted to do. He vomited at the actual thought and the sight of removing Rey Mysterio's eyeball at Extreme Rules. So you have to believe that whatever Seth was doing was for the greater good, and whatever that greater good is, did have some kind of control over him, making him do such horrible things. Of course, we could see the old Seth Rollins. I think a lot of people would like to see this, and I think it's because WWE really does need that big baby face to go up against Roman Reigns right now on SmackDown. It would make a lot of sense. It's a match I genuinely would love to see. I think it's WrestleMania main event worthy. But surely before we get to anything like that, we have to have Seth Rollins, if he's a babyface, answer the question, why? Why would you spend the better part of 2020 making Rey Mysterio's life a hell? Why would you remove his eyeball? Why would you attack Aleister Black? Why would you do the dastardly things you've been doing and then just come back like nothing ever happened? Surely WWE news correspondents, as they're called, would want to know the answer. And you have to ask the question, is the feud with Murphy done? Murphy was sort of doing something with King Corbin that seems to have cooled off quite a lot recently, and now Murphy's not doing much again. And I wonder if that's due to the imminent return of Seth Rollins. I think it's possible. And maybe, like, this is Seth coming back. Maybe Seth's going to attack Murphy. Of course, we know Murphy's in a relationship with Rey Mysterio. Now, there was a theory long before Seth went away, when Murphy started to join the Mysterios and things like that, that maybe this was all part of Seth Rollins' plan to have Murphy go to Rey Mysterio, who Seth already had previous with, because he tried to convince Rey Mysterio Aaliyah was not his real daughter. Now, okay, that's a bit wacky, a bit of a blast from the past, Eddie Guerrero style, but, of course, Rey never believed it. And Murphy since infiltrated Mysterios. This could be the best way that Seth Rollins could get to Rey Mysterio. Now Murphy is in with the clan, if you will. Maybe he can divide and conquer from within. And maybe Seth and Murphy are actually still a team after all. And this was all just a plan, once again, to get to Rey Mysterio. Maybe even Aaliyah Mysterio joins Seth and Murphy. And I think that could be quite interesting for sure. And there is still some good matches for a heel Seth Rollins. I'd love to see him going in a feud with Big E. I think Big E's got brand new momentum. He's now a solo star. He's the new Intercontinental Champion. And how cool would it be for Big E to defeat Seth Rollins to retain that title? Maybe even eventually, maybe Seth could be the person to take the title from Big E. And I don't want that yet, please, WWE. We've only just put the title on Big E. But I don't think the Messiah gimmick's completely gone away, even if Seth does come back as his normal self. I think that it's going to be lingering within. It's always possible. When Seth took to his knees at Survivor Series, he knew the greater good was coming. Bray Wyatt has told us in the Funhouse before that time is irrelevant. So maybe Seth knew this was the outcome at TLC. So maybe Seth failed in whatever plan the greater good had for him. He had no disciples left. Complete failure. And he had no choice but to sacrifice himself. And maybe because now the Fiend's gone away, that control has gone away. Which would be the perfect excuse to usher back in the old Seth Rollins. And as I said, I do think the time could be right for a face Rollins versus heel Roman. There are rumours that they're not going to be doing Rock versus Roman at this year's Mania. And that does leave Roman without a massive Mania opponent. You kind of figured Daniel Bryan could be that person. But Seth is naturally that guy. He's Reigns' former best friend. It all makes perfect sense. And the story's there to literally be told already. I do think, however, that whatever happens, we need answers. How do you go as far as to remove someone's eyeball to only then ignore it in the future? So SmackDown could be very interesting this week and for the next few weeks to come if we do get those kind of revelations. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video, share the video so your friends can find it and have their say. And I'll see you as always next time. Peace!